Hey, this video is more about stuff that was on my mind. It's been a tough year. It's been a tough year, and this week was exceptionally tough. It was just rough. And then someone had said something to me that just absolutely sparked a thought process. And I thought to myself, I wonder if God made a mistake when he created me. Like, did I just sort of slip through the cracks and somehow get here? When it caused a whole philosophical debate in myself. So I thought I would talk about that. And this isn't really meant for anybody specifically. Whoever sees it, and you get what you get from it. But I'll start back. This is all about me being gay. So I'll start back. I was born in 1979. So in a really small farm town. I grew up in the 1980s. And I didn't even have the concept of what gay was until I don't know, maybe the fourth grade. I know kids today be like, "What?" But like the fourth grade, maybe because I mean isolation and what else can I say? So I was at the grocery store, which is about the three times size of my house, so maybe 3,000, 4,000 square feet big, not very big. And the only gay couple in town was there at the meat department getting some food. I was there with my mom. We were getting some food. And the guy looks at his husband and says, "Hey, honey, what do you want for dinner tonight?" And he said, "Oh my gosh, my love, I think I want cheeseburgers." So I looked at my mom and I was like, "What did he say?" And she whispered back to me, "He wants cheeseburgers for dinner." I said, "I think that's what I thought that's what he said, you know. But that was the whole conversation. That was our conversation, mom and I, my conversation with her. And she knew I got it. I got it. And that was the first time I realized, wow, a man can actually love another man. That didn't make sense to me. But this didn't really apply to me yet because I wasn't there yet. But I was always a sensitive, loving, caring kid, you know. Um, so it still didn't dawn on me that even I was gay. So high school comes around, everyone's starting to date. I'm not really interested, you know. Um, I went through the motions and dated a little bit, and it wasn't for me, really. But I mean, what are my options? But I still couldn't put my finger on what the hell is really going on here. So, um, probably the very end of my high school career, I started to realize, oh my God, I might actually be gay, you know? So try to suppress it, and just go forward and do what I got to do in life, and be straight because that's what's expected of me. Went on to college. I started dating a wonderful girl. We probably would have gotten married. We dated off and on because, like I said, dating is tough for me, especially dating a woman. So I dated a couple different women, but I would always go back to the original person I was dating because if I was going to get married to anybody, she and I got along the best, you know? But then I also at that time decided, okay, I'm going to try to go on a date with a guy just to get this out of my system and make sure that I'm not gay. I'm gay. So, um, and I remember the first everything was an absolute shock. It was like the very first kiss with a guy was, oh my God, I just kissed a guy and it felt good. The very first touch, oh my God, I just got touched by a guy. It felt good. The first everything was, oh my God, I just did this with a guy and it felt good and it felt correct. I felt at peace with it, but I was still fighting it. you know? It's like I always fight the universe on everything. As vast as the universe is, I always fight it and make life so much harder. And I thought to myself, I can't be gay. I can't be gay. My family will never accept me. My friends are going to reject me. My family's going to reject me. My church is going to reject me. Everyone is going to reject me. I'll never find happiness, you know? And so I had this great, great big debate with myself on what to do. And I finally came, this was when I was in college, and I finally came to the conclusion it would probably be best if I just killed myself. I know that sounds shocking. That sounds shocking. But it was better than bringing the shame upon myself and my family, and then people finding out and then looking down on me or my family, thinking I was raised a certain way that made me this way. And nothing raised about me made me this way. I just was. So I actually came up with a plan to do that. I was going to do it on the 4th of July. I actually secured the gun to do that. I was going to be sick that night, send everybody on their way. And I figured a loud pop of a gun, if it didn't do the job immediately, no one would come running because there's loud noises all around, anyways. I would succumb to the injuries, and no one would be the wiser of why I did it because I wasn't going to leave a note or anything. It was just going to happen. So, yeah, yeah. I started to get everything in order. I got all my finances in order. I bought nice gifts for everyone, you know. My attitude actually changed and I became more peaceful with the thought of what I was doing. And I lived at home during college. And one Saturday, this was a month before I was going to do this, my mom stopped me in the hallway and she said, very matter of factly, because we're very forward in the family, just very matter of factly, when were you going to tell me you're gay? That was the hardest question she's ever asked me. And I said, very matter of factly, I was never going to tell you I was gay. And she said, I know what you're up to. She said, I know you're going to commit suicide. How did she know? I don't know. I didn't even verbalize it to anyone. There's no way she could have known. She said, I would rather have a gay son than a dead son. So, yeah. So my secret was out. All of my secrets were out. I was going to fucking gay and I was going to kill myself. These are my deepest, darkest secrets, and that both of them are out now. It was horrible. It was horrible and good all at the same time. So I also thought about nature versus nurture. And I come back to the house I'm living in right now, right now. And I think back to the people who lived here before me. There were two sisters, two girls, a little bit older than me. They were, I don't know, maybe 8 years older than me at most, probably 7 or 8 years older than me. They shared a bedroom. They were raised exactly the same, nature versus nurture. One of those girls grew up to work at the Pentagon. She still works at the Pentagon. She has a high level position. The other girl went to prison. She was on the Jerry Springer show. She was on the Maury Povich show. She is just batshit crazy. Raised exactly the same. Same bedroom. Shared everything. How does one end up so successful and one not? And I hope she gets her, maybe she's getting her life together right now. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know those are things that have happened in our past, and she was wonderfully entertaining on the Jerry Springer show and the Maury Povich show. I mean, it was something to actually grab your popcorn and watch, like, oh, fuck, this is really something to see, you know, entertainment value stuff, nature versus nurture, nurture versus nature. And I realized she was just born that way. She wasn't made to be that way. She was born that way. And I'm not saying, not comparing myself to that, but I wasn't raised this way. I was born this way. And that was a tough thing to accept as well. That was tough to accept as well. Um, flash forward to, okay, I'm going to give up women. I'm going to try to date men. It's been a train wreck. I'll tell you. I'm just not made for relationships. Some people excel at it. And I think it's partly because I don't fully love myself, maybe. I can't accept the way God made me, which then also goes back to the philosophical, is there even a God? Why would he do this? Why would he make life so much harder for some? You know, this little guy wants to be part of everything today. But why would he make life so much harder for some and then make others judge? I just don't understand. I don't understand. You know? Um, but yeah, something happened this week that really made me question a lot of things. It was like, was I even a mistake? If there is a God, you know, how did I slip through the cracks? You know? And then part of me was like, just because there are less gay people in the world doesn't mean we're not as valuable. Because I also compared us to maybe diamonds or gold. Yeah, we're different than the majority, but it doesn't mean we're any less valuable. And that kind of struck a chord with me as well. Um, yeah, there was so much more I wanted to actually talk about here, and the way my mind works, because it's all over the place today, it's not going to happen. I guess. I did listen to. See, I don't always listen to great music or anything, and you're going to hear this and like, well, that's not the best, but Lady Gaga. I don't actually listen to a lot of stuff. And I had really listened to the lyrics of "Born This Way," and I thought, wow, there were a couple lines in that actually struck me. One was about betraying your youth or accepting something about your youth or whatever, and I was like, yes, yeah, I denied myself so much. You know, had I just accepted the way I was and not fought the universe and just accepted that God created me exactly as He wanted to create me, it would have made life so much better. And at one point, um, I was always going to my men's Bible study. It was a young man's Bible study. And it was a group of people I grew up with, you know, and I loved it. I loved it. It was really bringing me closer to God. And I did a lot of things for our church as well, and that was always really nice as well. And then I can't narrow down the day right now because in my mind I can't think. It was a couple years ago, but it was whenever before gay marriage was legalized by the Supreme Court, but before then, the Indiana, where I'm from, had banned gay marriage. You cannot get gay married. So the moment it was whatever day um, the Supreme Court legalized it across the board, I had Bible study, I believe that night or the next night. and it was always on a Thursday. So I'm guessing it was on a Thursday when that was legalized. So I go to my Bible study. Bible study is essentially canceled. Whatever we had planned to study, we'd all read our part of the Bible or whatever, and we're going to have a discussion. No, that's going on hold. We're going to talk about the fall of America with the legalization and giving fair rights to homosexuals to marry. And I wasn't out to my group. It wasn't I was not ashamed, but I wasn't out. But my best friend was also part of the group. He knows everything about me. And so we're having this fight, not a fight, loud discussion of disagreements. Um, Not my best friend and I, but another member of the group. And it's just bouncing back and forth between all these people and back to me, back to him, back to me, back to him, back to me, back to him. And finally he says, "Why do you feel this way about this?" You know, and he was trying to get me to say, "Because I'm gay. That's why I feel that way." That way you can say, "That invalidates your whole argument. See, you shouldn't be part of this group, blah, 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 blah." You know, and I said, "Because I was raised better than you. I was raised to love and accept everyone for the gifts that they bring to the church and not belittle them, unlike you." And oh my God, that went through him like fire. And yes, I knew it. Those were fighting words. Oh my God. You know, and of course, that did not go over well because that was pretty shitty of me to say that like that. And he knew in his heart that I was gay and he couldn't get me to say it, because he wanted to invalidate all the points I just made. Because some of the other members of the group were like, "You're right. This is not what Jesus wants of us. He doesn't want us to judge others." I talked about the high suicide rate among young gay individuals. I talked about how the church rejects them, pushes them away from God when God would never push anyone away. Jesus would not push anyone away. Jesus loves everyone. And after that was over with, everyone left. And this actually took place at my best friend's house. So usually it's at someone else's house. And so it was just me and my best friend standing in the driveway talking. And he said he was so proud of me, but he was also so thankful I didn't just blurt out, "Because I'm gay. It's why I feel this way." He said it really hammered home the point, you know, how Jesus really is and how we need to keep Jesus in our heart and how that actually influenced some other thinkers in the group. And I told him, "I can't do this anymore. I can't be part of this group. I feel pushed away." And little by little, because of that night, I started feeling pushed away from my church. My mom was a church secretary. My dad was the maintenance guy for the church, and I did stuff for the church as well. And on Christmas Eve, candlelight service, our entire family went, and also for the first time, my boyfriend went to the candlelight service. And I swear to you, I mean, there were so many people there. You don't know who's who because there's lots of family meeting for Christmas Eve that night. Everyone just goes. You don't know who's who. But there were so many angry, judgy looks, dagger eyes at me and my boyfriend, who was not even sitting right next to me. He was actually a couple places down from me. You know, how dare I bring this man to our church? And I said, "That's it. I'm done. I'm done with church," that is. So I went through a lot of philosophical, from absolutely loving God to, is there a God? Is this all made up? Just to get us to conform with societal norms, to keep us from murdering one another. I don't know. I don't know. I hope there's a God. I still hope that in my heart, but I don't know. I don't know in my heart if there really is a God. I do know, however, if there is a God, he doesn't make mistakes. He made me and he made you exactly as he intended to make us. For what purpose? I'm sure it was not for us to internally struggle and wonder why we were made the way we were made, but we do have a purpose. Just because there are less people like me doesn't mean I'm less valuable. And so that was kind of the philosophical debate I had with myself this week. And like I said, you get from this whatever you get from it, or you get nothing from it. Like, who cares about whatever your philosophical debate was? But I just had to get it off my chest, you know? But yeah, dating for me, circling back to that, has always been a struggle. It's a struggle, and I think it's because I still can't fully accept the reality of the situation. So, yeah, yeah. But you get from this what you get from it. And that's it. So I wish you all the best, and I love you all. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.